Hi students, welcome to lesson 28, Urban Problems, Environmental Pollution and Traffic Congestion. Introduction. Environmental problems in urban areas are growing, especially in cities in developing countries, owing to a phase of economic transition. Of greatest concern are the state of air quality, noise and congestion. Cities are dynamic centers of consumption, greenhouse production, waste and emissions of pollutants in water and air through industrial and vehicular emissions. The environmental pollution and traffic congestion have tremendous environmental impact. Objectives of this lesson. After completion of this lesson, you will be able to explain various types of environmental pollution and means of curbing it. You will be able to describe the problem of transport and traffic congestion. Let us begin with environmental pollution. Urbanization has led to intense concentration of population, industry and energy use, leading to a massive local pollution and environmental degradation. The various urban environmental problems are strongly connected with inadequate water supply, waste management, loss of green and natural spaces, urban sprawl, pollution of soil, air, traffic, noise, etc. Some of the types of pollution affecting urban environment are that of air, water, soil, noise, radioactive, visual and thermal pollution. Let us first discuss about air pollution. The urban air is constantly being polluted with gases from burning fossil fuels and exhaust fumes from automobiles, factories, power generators and also harmful fumes from chemicals such as paint, plastic and toxic spills. All these elements tend to disturb the natural composition of air and make it harmful for our health. Keeping the air quality at a safe level is one of the major challenges faced by modern urban communities today. A whopping 9 in 10 people on earth breathe highly polluted air and more than 80% of urban dwellers have to endure outdoor pollution that exceeds health standards according to WHO's World Global Ambient Air Quality Database. But even among countries gasping for breath, India stands out for air that is consistently, epically terrible. Agricultural practices like burning crop stubble also remain widespread. As for India's sudden rise in rankings, a big factor is that pollution in many of these cities is being measured and reported for the first time, meaning the problem may have always been there, but it hadn't drawn the same level of attention. Let us now discuss about curbing air pollution. Millions of lives could be saved and 1 billion people living in Asia could be breathing clean air by 2030 if 25 simple and cost-effective measures are implemented according to a new United Nations report. A report from United Nations Environment Programme UNEP 2019 looks at science-based solutions to air pollution in Asia and the Pacific region. UNEP says that implementing these measures would result in a 20% reduction in carbon dioxide and a 45% reduction in methane emissions, preventing up to 1/3 of a degree Celsius in global warming. They estimate that these measures would help 1 billion people breathe cleaner air by 2030. These measures can be categorized into 3 types. One set of measures looks at increasing emission standards for vehicles, power plants and industry. As conventional measures, the report suggests post-combustion controls, industrial process emission standards, especially for iron and steel plants, cement factories, glass production, chemical industry, etc., and emission standards for road vehicles, maintenance of vehicles and dust control. The second set looks at reduction in burning of waste and proper management of livestock manure. In the second category of measures, the report suggests dealing with and regulating agricultural crop residues, residential waste burning, forest fires, livestock manure management, nitrogen fertilizers, brick kilns, international shipping, solvent use and refineries. The third set looks at renewable energy. In the third category of measures, the report discusses regulating cooking and heating fuels, power generation, energy efficiency in house and industries, electric vehicles, public transport, solid waste management, waste water treatment and hydrochlorofluorocarbon refrigerants. The report also talks about India's efforts to deal with agricultural residue. The government has been asking power companies to buy agricultural waste and convert it into biomass pellets. The government's efforts are also directed to reduce nitrogen-based fertilizer usage. The government has started an initiative for coating urea nitrogen with neem oil, a nitrification inhibitor that can reduce nitrogen loss by 10 to 15%. The report talks about the persistent problem in India of indoor air pollution due to traditional cooking and heating practices in India. The contribution of indoor air pollution to ambient air pollution is estimated to vary between 22% and 52% in India. Cleaning up household cooking and heating in India will substantially improve ambient air quality in the area as well, according to several studies. On this, the report cites India's Cook Stove program, which aims to help approximately 100 million households with modernizing their cook stoves. This includes India's National Program for Improved 𝗧𝗪𝗧, National Biomass Cook Stoves Initiative and Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. This particular scheme is considered a flagship scheme for this government, and although being widely publicized by the government, has been found to be inflating its figures of success and with poor implementation on the ground. Let us now discuss about water pollution. The polluted runoff from factories, farmlands, raw sewage, industrial waste and household garbage being washed away by rain and mixed with water resources pollute the natural water resources such as lakes, rivers, groundwater and oceans. Agricultural runoff affects groundwater and surface water sources as they contain pesticides and fertilizer residues. Fertilizers have an indirect adverse impact on water resources. The disposal of household garbage is not done by taking necessary precautions, especially when disposing hazardous materials such as car batteries, appliances, electronics or oil. Household borne effluents contribute a substantial proportion of water pollution in India. Untreated effluents from households pollute surface and groundwater sources. About 70% of the effluents are not treated and disposed into environmental media untreated. One of the serious causes of water pollution is industrial pollution. Leather and tanning industries, oil industries and chemical manufacturing company waste and more industries waste which are directly flushed into the water source. Most of the industrial pollution consists of lead, mercury and cured petrochemicals which are extremely dangerous for humans and the environment. All these wastes are directly linked with water sources and they are not purified before exiting the industries. This affects the provisions for drinking water and also the marine life. Further, air pollution leads to acid rain which reduces the oxygen value in water. The receiving water bodies also do not have adequate water flow for dilution. Therefore, the oxygen demand and bacterial pollution is increasing. Another aspect of water pollution in India is inadequate infrastructure comprising of monitoring stations and frequency of monitoring for monitoring pollution. The socio-economic costs of water pollution are extremely high. 1.5 million children under 5 years die each year due to water related diseases. 200 million person days of work are lost each year and the country loses about rupees 366 billion each year due to water related diseases. The acts that directly concern water pollution in India are the Water Act 1974, the Water Cess Act 1977 and 1988 and the Environmental Protection Act or EPA 1986. While the first two are foundation legislations in context of water pollution in the country, EPA is designed to fill the gaps still remaining in the legal framework for the control of industrial pollution. Let us now discuss about curbing water pollution. Laws must be enforced to ensure that the industries do treatment of waste before the water is discharged into the rivers and seas. Responsible role by the industries is required. Many industries directly flow their waste everywhere which reaches rivers through rainwater. To prevent water from pollution from industrial waste, it is required that these waste should be disposed of properly. Avoiding hazardous material in places where paints, cleaning and stain removal chemicals are used. It is required to arrange for the safe disposal of the waste and contaminated water coming out of these factories. Oil spill from cars and other vehicles and the machines are required to be stopped completely. To prevent water pollution, the drains are required to be cleaned on a regular basis. In the rural areas, pakka drains are required to be made. Recycling and reuse are other ways to prevent water pollution which can improve the availability of fresh water. To prevent water from getting polluted, we are also required to prevent soil erosion. If there is soil conservation, we can stop water pollution up to some extent. We will have to plant more trees to stop soil erosion and adopt organic farming. Cleaning is required on a regular basis as water of the rivers, ponds and even the groundwater has also been contaminated by humans. Effective steps should be taken to outlaw dumping of waste into a river or other water sources. There are some algae and water plants available which are helpful in keeping the water clean. They should be grown all over in the water. Planting water hyacinth helps to treat the polluted water. It deals with the biological and chemical waste. The heavy metals are also removed by it. Dead bodies should not be thrown in the river. The use of materials such as plastic should be discouraged as it does not only destroy biologically but also has other impacts. Immersion of idols during religious ceremonies should be done at the appointed place only. Tampering with public water distribution system should be dealt strictly. Pollutants can be converted into non-toxic substances by treatment. The presence of radioactive waste in the water can be removed by oxidation of ponds, setting up more sewage treatment plants that play a crucial role in the reclaimed polluted water. Inflation of scientific experiments that can put pollutants into useful item is the need of the hour. Let us now talk about noise pollution. Living in noisy conditions has far-reaching health hazards like headaches, insomnia, hearing loss, and may also disrupt the standard of living in the affected area. Noise may lead to increased stress, deafness, sleep disruptions, and loss of concentration. The adverse health effects of noise are auditory disorders such as hearing impairment, tinnitus, earache, noise-induced hearing loss, and non-auditory manifestations which include headache, psychological disturbances manifested by irritability, inability to concentrate on one's work, thereby reducing work efficiency, disturbance in sleep and rest, and interference with speech communication. Noise is defined as unwanted or undeniable sound. The noise pollution from moving vehicles, industrial noise, and transport noise not only affects humans but also animals. Noises up to 115 decibel are acceptable and tolerable, but any noise above that can affect our regular life. As per the industrial standards, a level of 85 decibel is only accepted. Noise pollution is recognized as part of air pollution under Section 2, Clause A of Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. Let us try to understand about soil pollution. High concentration of toxic elements in soil can pose a high risk for human health and also to the ecosystem. A large number of organic and inorganic chemicals and waste from industries, farms, construction sites, automobiles, and households can contribute to soil pollution. The main causes of soil pollution are the human activities like accidental leaks and spills, dumping manufacturing processes, etc. Soil pollution poses a worrisome threat to agricultural productivity, food safety, and human health. Industrialization, war, mining, and the intensification of agriculture have left a legacy of soil contamination across the planet, while the growth of cities has seen soil used as sink for ever greater amounts of municipal waste. Let us now discuss about curbing soil pollution. Consumption of sustainable food, proper recycling of batteries, production of homemade compost, and disposal of drugs in the places authorized for this purpose is important to curb soil pollution. Encouraging a more eco-friendly model for industry, farming, and stock breeding, among other economic activities, will help in fighting soil pollution. Improvement in urban planning, transport planning, wastewater treatment also will help. Further, the improvement in the management of mining waste, restore the landscape and conserve topsoil. Involving local communities and indigenous people in the design, implementation, and assessment of sustainable land and soil management is significant. Let us now talk about visual pollution. Our cities are often polluted with signs, advertisements, and overly illuminated billboard lights that are often unattractive, causing an eyesore. Visual pollution can also lower or degrade living standards, lifestyle, and property values. All types of pollution are undesirable and lead to health hazards. They are also linked with our lifestyle and well-being in so many ways. For example, light pollution is linked with energy consumption, which would mean electric power plants would have to burn more fossil fuels. Burning of fossil fuels contribute to air pollution, which has immediate health effects. Understanding and reducing the cycle of pollution is first step for us to start living a better life and improve our standard of living as citizens of this world. Thermal pollution. Thermal pollution is the discharge of heated water into bodies of water. The main contributors to thermal heat pollution are thermal or nuclear power plants, industrial effluents such as petroleum refineries, pulp and paper mills, chemical plants, steel mills and smelters, sewage effluents and biochemical activity. The ambient water temperature is most vital requirement for survival of aquatic fauna and flora. The effects of thermal pollution include decreased the amount of dissolved oxygen in water which aquatic life requires, damage to larvae and eggs of fish in rivers, killing of some species of fish and macroinvertebrates that have a limited tolerance for temperature change, and migration of living entities from their environment. Let us now discuss about curbing thermal pollution. These measures can be taken to prevent or control high temperature caused by thermal pollution. Heated water from the industries should be treated by the installation of cooling ponds and cooling towers before discharging directly to the water bodies. Industrial treated water can be recycled for domestic use or industrial heating. Through artificial lakes, industries can discharge their used or heated water at one end and water for cooling purposes may be withdrawn from the other end. The heat is eventually dissipated through evaporation. Radioactive pollution. The radioactive pollution is defined as the physical pollution of living organisms and their environment as a result of release of radioactive substances into the environment. These substances are released during nuclear explosions, testing of nuclear weapons, nuclear weapon production and decommissioning. The mining of radioactive ores, handling and disposal of radioactive waste and accidents at nuclear power plants also cause pollution. Nuclear tests are carried out to determine the effectiveness, yield and explosive capability of nuclear weapons. The proportion of radioactive pollution is 15% of the total energy of the explosion. Radioactive pollution of water, water sources and airspace is the result of radioactive fallout from the cloud of a nuclear explosion. Radionuclides are the main sources of pollution. They emit beta particles and gamma rays, radioactive substances. Radioactive pollution can be prevented in many ways. There are various ways to stop it. The nuclear reactor should be kept under leakage proof containers so that there is no possibility of the leakage of the radioactive material. Also, there must be a proper cooling system installed in the reactor so that no leakage will occur through coolant. Nuclear tests should be banned or should be done under very strict circumstances so that it won't affect the environment or other human beings. Radioactive waste must be properly treated so that it may not cause harm to anyone and nature. Industrial waste which has radioactive material in it should be dumped after neutralizing it or at a place where it will cause less harm. Proper monitoring should be done from time to time to get to know about any hazard before the time. Let us now talk about transportation and traffic issues. One of the critical factors in the efficiency of city depends upon the effectiveness of its transport and traffic systems. The urban areas face serious challenges with regard to adequate arrangements for traffic management. Majority of people use buses and tempos, while a few use rail as transit system. The increasing number of private vehicles make the traffic problem worse. They cause air pollution as well. Moreover, the number of buses plying the metropolitan cities is not adequate and commuters have to spend long hours to travel. Poor transport systems choke economic growth and development, and the net effect may be a loss of competitiveness in both domestic as well as international markets. Although Indian cities have lower vehicle ownership rate, number of vehicles per capita than their counterparts in developed countries, they suffer from worse congestion, delay, pollution and accidents than cities in the industrialized world. The city traffic and roads present scenario of serious traffic congestions, delay, high pollution and accidents taking human toll. Road accident fatalities and injuries are critical concerns with regard to urban transport. The imbalance in modal split, inadequate transport infrastructure has added to traffic and transport challenges in the cities. Public transport systems are not in pace with the rapid and substantial increases in demand, leading to greater usage of personal vehicles. Though operation of metro trains in cities like Hyderabad and Delhi have helped in addressing the traffic congestion of the cities to some extent, there is need to further strengthen the public transport to encourage the citizens to opt for the public means. However, much needs to be done if public transport is to play a significant role in the life of a city. One of the measures is to enhance the quality as well as quantity of public transport services and to impose constraints on the use of private vehicles. People should also be encouraged to use non-motorized transport, and investments may be made to make it safer. The Indian metropolitan cities are facing serious environmental problem due to growing air pollution caused by fuels used in vehicles. Atmospheric pollutants commonly associated with motor vehicles are nitrogen oxides, hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, sulfur oxides and suspended particulate matters SPM. The ambient air pollution in terms of SPM in many metropolitan cities in India exceeds the limit set by World Health Organization. Pollutants from vehicular emission have various adverse health effects. One of the main pollutants, SPM, particularly fine PM, has serious health effects. Let us understand the impact of these pollutants on health. Carbon monoxide hinders oxygen transport from the blood into tissues. Large dose of carbon monoxide can be fatal. High concentration of sulfur dioxide, that is SO2, can result in temporary breathing impairment and mainly affects the functions of lungs. Suspended particulate matter SPM can be classified into PM10, that is particulate matter 10, PM 2.5 and PM 0.1. Exposure to particulate matter pollution has been associated with respiratory and cardiac problems, infections, asthma attacks, lung cancer and decreased life expectancy. Nitrogen oxides and nitrogen dioxide has been shown to irritate lung tissue, cause bronchitis and pneumonia and reduce resistance to respiratory infections. The incomplete burning of any organic matter such as oil produces hydrocarbons. they result in smog problem. Air toxics are organic chemicals including some hydrocarbons that are highly evaporative in nature. Benzene, formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, 1,3-butadiene and acrolein are typical examples of air toxics. Air toxics are pollutants that cause or are suspected of causing cancer in those exposed to them. Benzene has been shown to cause aplastic anemia and acute myelogenous leukemia. Known health concerns related to aldehydes include cancer and asthma and respiratory tract irritation. These air toxics have impacts on the reproductive system by causing chromosomal aberrations or mutations. These small particles penetrate deeply into lungs and are the perfect vehicle for delivering air toxics into the body. To address the air pollution and other environmental concerns arising out of transport and traffic congestion, it is important to strengthen the integrated transportation system by coordinating various modes of public transport including intermediate public transport. The different agencies independent of each other are operating different services in Indian cities. Since the ultimate objective is to provide adequate and efficient transport system, there is a need to have a coordinating authority with the assigned role of coordinating the operations of various modes. Promoting car sharing or pooling allows people to have the convenience of the car, but at the same time helps to reduce congestion and pollution through reduction in vehicle kilometers. Carpooling in major cities is being organized through affinity groups, large employers, transit operators, neighborhood groups or large car sharing businesses. Restraining the use of polluting vehicles and fuels and tightening vehicle emission standards with constant inspection and maintenance programs will help in addressing the pollution levels owing to vehicular traffic. The green modes of transportation like bicycles, cycle rickshaws, pedestrians etc. should be encouraged. Awareness programs for general public and citizens to make them aware about the adverse health effect of air pollution due to vehicular emission. Deaths and injuries resulting from road traffic crashes are also a major and growing public health problem. Media, NGOs and research institutions should be encouraged to highlight these issues, conduct independent analysis and advocate possible solutions to policy makers and implementing agencies. At the same time, fair and equitable procedures for public complaints should be instituted. These can enhance awareness and understanding, influence public attitudes and public support and create the necessary political will to tackle the problem of congestion, air pollution and road safety. The functional responsibilities for urban transport are categorized at central, state and local levels, and thus overall coordination is not easy. Thus, strengthening urban institutions by enhancing institutional capacity and financial resources will go a long way in efficient urban transportation system. Promoting regional economies and compact townships reduces the need for long distance travel, but also self-sufficient compact townships which would reduce the need for short distance travel within the cities. In other words, wherever possible, towns of short distances should be promoted. Let us now summarize this lesson. It has been estimated that in the cities approximately 78% of carbon emissions are due to human activities. Some of the types of pollution affecting urban environment are air pollution, water pollution, soil and noise pollution, radioactive pollution, visual and thermal pollution. To strengthen public transport and address the traffic woes, there is serious need to concentrate on public transport like metro, bus transport, etc., and improving its efficiency.